And the reason that makes it quite unique is because the recording came out very well on the recording, but it's the first time they could see a visual part of an orchestra, particularly mine, you know. I would say that all the orchestras that I've had, starting from La Perfecta, were very exciting to hear, to see, and to dance to. And the DVD makes it possible to not only enjoy the music and you could dance, but you could actually see these great musicians, and they are great musicians that I have on this DVD.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Did you imagine when you were starting out and you went through the era of records to 8-tracks to cassettes that it would come down to an iPod and playlists?
Well, I started with 78s. That's what it was then. And then eventually you got the 45s, and then the CDs, I would say, right now. Something will probably be like a little aspirin, and you swallow it, and you push in your belly button and you hit music within the system.
Who in the crowd still has a 78?
78 what?
A 78, yeah, record, yeah.
What a 78 is.
Anything with Tico or Alegre on it? Well, yesterday we had the pleasure of some of our reporters accompanied Eddie Palmieri to El Barrio, where he grew up first before heading to the Bronx. And we got to learn a little bit more about his background growing up in El Barrio in the 1950s. And we wanted to hear a little bit more about that. What was it like as a Boricua teenager growing up in New York City during that time?
Well, I was born in 112th Street between Madison and Park, where we went yesterday and took some pictures of that. But I was raised in the Bronx. And the Bronx was absolutely beautiful, what they call the South Bronx. But it was absolutely beautiful at that time. I lived in 830 Kelly Street, and I was between Longwood and Internet. And my father always had a radio and television store that he used to repair radios first, and television came a little later, on Internet Avenue. And I was always playing like stickball. Besides going to school, I loved the game of stickball. And at the same time, it was absolutely wonderful because at that time the commercial radio used to play the orchestras of the day. Which what I mean is, you would hear Machito, so Afro-Cuban, you would hear Tito Puente, you would hear Tito Rodriguez, you would hear them at the club, but all day long. That changed drastically. That doesn't exist. Was really Latin pop or rap or whatever, but you don't hear La Queta Latina Bailable, just don't do it. So it was a great time, and it was a learning process because you heard the music, and then that's why I wanted to play drums. Tito Puente made the drums very, very popular then. And I was already studying piano, but my brother Charlie was the pianist already. We were 9 years separated, and he was my true inspiration. So he would bring records home of the great orchestras that existed at that time. There was the Morales family, Noro, Essie, and Humberto from Puerto Rico. There was Miguelito Valdez, the Cuban singer that sang with Xavier Cugat. And all of these orchestras was in the 40s. And my brother would bring them, I would hear them. And then he would recommend me later on in the 50s to different orchestras. But he was already on his own. Yeah, when I was 11, he was with Tito Puente, for example. But then, when he went on his own 2 or 3 years later, he would recommend me to certain bands. When he would come into the city, he would play with some bands. And, well, my small brother Eddie's playing piano. And that's how I got on with certain bands. But the main orchestra, I would have to say, would be Vicentico Valdez, who was the singer of Tito Puente. And in that band, there was Emmanuel Kendo there, and he was so into the Cuban music that was coming out of Cuba. I would say really the only one to that high degree, And through him, he bought me like 25 78s of the different orchestras when I stood with Vicentico for about 2 years, and I learned then the most incredible music of dance music that I had ever heard in my life. And the vocalists, los soneros, los pianistas, los bajistas, trumpets, I mean, just insane, in the different type bands. You had like the Benny Moré big band, you had Orquesta Lagón Charanga, you had Chabutin, Estrella, after Arsenio, and this is just the history. And by listening to these records, I was amazed that in less than 3 minutes, they would excite me so much, you know, and to the whole thing. And I studied that intuitively, and I learned how to, you know, present, you know, the music like when I finally made my own orchestra. And when I studied with a gentleman called Palmieri, then I learned scientifically why it worked, you know. This is called tension and resistance within a composition that leads to a climax, a musical climax. And then that's going to be very exciting for the dancers. So I don't guess that I'm going to excite you with my band. I know it, you know, and that took certain years of study and that, and analyzing, and certainly love for the music and to watch people, you know, the dancers dance in my band.